Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, I'm looking at this. This is McVicar from 1980. And it is 108 minutes long. And Rotten Tomatoes give it 85%, which is pretty good for a British film of this nature. I think it is. It's the critics did enjoy this film. Yeah, they did. Now, it's written by John McVicar, of course, key to this story, and Tom Clegg. And Tom Clegg directed it as well. And Tom Clegg, well, films that he's directed is Love is a Splendid Illusion, 1970. Sweeney 2, 1978. Excellent, Sweeney 2. And Goal, 1982, which is a documentary of the World Cup in Spain. Also, Any Man's Death, 1990. But if you look at him, it's very much the TV series and TV films that he's involved in. And a lot of them are very sort of action-based. And that suits this film, I think, quite well. This was produced by the Who Films Limited. There's a big clue, isn't it? And Polytel, and distributed by Brent Walker, a very familiar name as well in British films. Now, the soundtrack, of course, the soundtrack is by Roger Daltrey, his solo album. But, of course, he does have some friends playing on there. And the friends are Pete Townsend, John Entwistle, and, of course, Kenny Jones. So there it is. It's the Who. It's the Who are there playing on here. Yes. Now, it was filmed at Pinewood Studios, but we've got some good locations. We've got Ireland. They went over to Ireland. We've got Maidenhead in Berkshire, and we've got London, Wandsworth particularly, yeah, we've got that. All very good. The locations look good, excellent, especially if you sort of, that period I love seeing outside. Fantastic, absolutely love it. Okay, so let's get into the cast. We've got Roger Daltrey, who plays John McVicar. So, of course, Roger Daltrey is the co-founder of The Who in 1964, and they're still going. He still works with Pete Townsend and various other musicians still under the banner of The Who. But he's also had a career in acting. He was in Tommy in 1975. He was in Listomania, Ken Russell film, that in 1975. He was in The Legacy in 1978, which is a horror film, which is really good. Really enjoyed The Legacy. He was in The Little Match Girl, 1986. He was in If Looks Could Kill, 1991. He was in Vampirella, 1996. He was in Best, 2000, which I think's a biop of Georgie Best, a footballer. Brilliant. Also, he was in .com for Murder, 2001. And then he's in TV series and TV films. He's had a tremendous amount of acting. I remember him being in Sliders, which is one of my great TV sci-fi American series. I remember him appearing in that, yeah. Anyhow, the next one is Adam Faith, who plays Walter Probyn. Adam Faith was, you could describe as an early British pop singer in the late 1950s. And he was quite successful in that. He was very successful. And and he even made some films in that sort of era. One of them is What a Whopper, 1961, which is a comedy. And guess what? Sid James is in it. Yes. But I first came across Adam Faith in terms of acting in the next film, which is Stardust, 1974. This is the second film after That'll Be the Day, which Ringo Starr was involved in. But of course, Ringo Starr couldn't be really involved in this. It was too much like the rise of the Beatles. And David Essex, he's brilliant in this. He stars in this. And Adam Faith, he's brilliant. And he's the manager. Great film. Great memories of that film. It's a really good film. I recommend that. If you just want a nice sort of music kind of biop kind of film, even though it's fictional, but does have a lot of similarities with the Fab Four, then that is a very good film to watch. That's Stardust. And David Essex, excellent in it. Then he was in Yesterday's Hero, 1979, Foxes, 1980, and it's like TV series. And I remember him being in a quite an innovative series on the BBC at the time, which was Budgie, 1971 to 1972. That is well thought of, definitely. So next we've got Cheryl Campbell, who plays Sylvia McVicar, his wife. Yes, McVicar's wife. She was in Hawk the Slayer. Great, 1980. She was in Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. Amazing. She was in that. What a film that is. Absolutely wonderful. Well, what can I say about that film? I think that's about 1980, 81, sort of around that period. Chariots of Fire, 1981. She was also in. And also The Shooting Party, 1985, which has, I know, James Mason in. Yes, I had to get that and do that. And she's appeared in a lot of TV series and TV films. And then we've got a face that if you are a TV addict, you might know. It's Bill Murray, who plays Joey David. Now, films that Bill Murray is involved in are Paul Cow, 1967, Up the Junction, 1968. Quite interesting films, those. I think they represent the kitchen drama sort of period. Kitchen sink drama, that's what I call it. Corruption. Oh, yeah, he's in Corruption, 1968. Peter Cushing, if you remember, is in that, playing, quite a bad character. And then we've got Dead Cert, which is 2010. We've got Stalker, 2010 as well. And then, if you're interested in these sort of gangster type films, we have got Rise of the Foot Soldier 3, the Pat Tate story from 2017. Then we've got Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins, 2021. And then Renegades, 2022. You can see that he did play a few sort of gangster type films of that sort of area, or in that area anyhow. But of course, he's a face that was known on British television for quite a few years. In fact, in The Bill, popular police programme from 1995 to 2004. He played DS Don Beach in 186 episodes. Wow, that is a hell of a lot of episodes. But he was very well-known face in that. Then we've got Georgina Hale, who plays Kate. She was in, from 1971, a very controversial film, The Devils. Yes, she was in The Devils. Uh, there's a link here as well. She was also in Marla, 1974. You see, Ken Russell did that out of thing for her. Listomania, 1975. Ken Russell again. And Valentino, 1977. She was also in The World is Full of Married Men, 1979. Now she was in The Watcher in the Woods, which we've come across before, because it starred Betty Davis. Yes, she's in that one, the 1980 film. And of course, she was in Sweeney too. Oh, surprise, surprise. Yes. 1978, the director, they sometimes stick with the ones that they really like. She was in, let's see, Castaway, 1986. And she's in a film that is increasingly getting talked about. I can see it getting bigger in terms of people looking around for British horror films that maybe have a bit of comedy as well in it. It was Cockneys versus the Zombies in 2011. That is starting to pop up a bit. I know it's in discussions. It's one of those that's been around and people are looking around for British horror zombie films. And the Shaun of the Dead obviously miles ahead, but then this one now starts to pop up. Then we've got Brian Hall, who is a face that you sort of recognise. He plays Terry Stokes. He was in The Long Good Friday. That was such an amazing role in an amazing film. What a film. It's one of the great British gangster films ever made. It is up there with Get Carter. And also, I remember him in Fawlty Towers. Yes, he was the chef in the kitchen. Yes. And I remember in particular in Basil the Rat, that last episode where he's in there. He's absolutely brilliant with the rat poison and everything. It's so funny. And I think in many ways that's why he's so well known in that particular episode. But there he is. Yeah, that's Brian Hall. And then I've just got to mention it. As usual, it's one of those appearances by, you've guessed it, Ian Hendry. And this is 1980. The appearances are getting much less now. They have been for quite a while. To be honest, he doesn't look that well in this film. He's not in it hardly at all. He's a big sort of gangster boss called Hitchens. I won't go through all his career, but it's Ian Hendry. But it's kind of, when I see that, I think, oh, it's kind of sad, you know. This is all it was put down to, playing the same kind of role, the nasty kind of gangster boss. And, you know, he's hardly in it at all. It's just a fleeting experience with him. He just does his scene. It must have given him a bit more pay day or whatever, and that was it. You know, very sad to see that. Yeah. Okay, so what is this story about? I say it's based on the true story, the life of John McVicar, and he was a notorious criminal. Yes. At one time, he was seen as public enemy number one, believe you me. And there was a big thing about him in the papers because he did this escape. He escaped from quite a high security prison and managed to get out. And this film, therefore, we see that bit where he's in prison, which makes it interesting. We get a prison sort of kind of film at the beginning, and then into it, quite a good section. And then we see him outside, you know, when he escapes and gets into life and what happens. And of course, he ends up doing another job. Have you noticed with a lot of these criminals, and it's the same with this, he's saying, this is the last job, I just need the money and we're going to go leave the country. His wife and he's got a son now who doesn't know at all really, and his son wants a daddy, and you can see that he wants this to start again as a family. They've got a family, and he wants to start off afresh, and they're going to go over to Canada supposedly, and but you kind of know there's an inevitable something's going to go wrong, and he gets grassed up. Yeah, and he ends up, the police come and take him back, and that's kind of sad. However, though I've talked in that sense about the sadness of that bit, on the other hand, his time in prison, he changed and bettered himself. And he ended up getting a degree, I think social science degree. And from that, he became a writer and journalist. Hence, he's involved in the writing of this film. And he became well known as a reformed character who really had bettered himself and had got a career. And that's really good to see in this film. And it's so well done. It's riveting, this film, actually. If you don't know the story, you're watching it and just understanding, I loved it. I loved the way it portrayed what was going on in his life. And we saw that side and why he would be wanting to change himself in prison in the end, because he got a massive sentence. His sentence was 23 years. 23 years. I mean, even murderers don't always get that. These people who murder people don't always get that. This is incredible, but as a different time. Times were different. But this film, I think, is well worth watching. If you've not seen it, it's a good British film as well. And Roger Daltrey, fantastic in the role. The music, I love the music. The music is part of the film as well. We get quite a lot of music. I loved it. And the locations, if you love looking at locations of that period, here it is again. Fantastic. Just totally recommend this film. Here it is. Here's my DVD copy of it. Which, again, thank you, Tony, for sending me this. There's that, and there's the back. There isn't any extras on it. It's a bare bones release. There's the disc there, just a bit of artwork on there, not much, but I really enjoyed this film. Absolutely brilliant film. Highly recommended, and it's a British film, and we need to promote the British film industry more, I think, and this is one. So that's it. I've been babbling on too long, haven't I? So if you're new to the channel, now please subscribe, because then we'll let you know when I produce more of my videos. And if you want to see what other things I've done, look in the playlist. You can see all the different films I review, TV series, and also a bit of music thrown in. And if you've got any comments, please put some comments down, and please give this video a like. If you give it a like, it gets it out onto YouTube, so a like would be lovely. And so I always reply to your comments, and thank you. I've been going on far too long, so all I've got to say is I'll see thee again.